Hello Redditors, welcome back to Tales Against Humanity. Now, let's get started. In today's episode, Chad didn't like my music, but I do. In elementary school, I got even with a bully. The time I annoyed my teacher and made her look like a lunatic. Boss went out of his way to be rude about a habit of mine. I do it every time I see him. I 33F am here with a story about Chad 36M having issues with my music. I am big into music. Not following one genre or artist per se, but music itself. My friends have described it as eclectic, and I agree. I've gotten some bewildered looks by the sheer random contrast between songs. Normally when I listen to my music it's with headphones in, or it's only audible from the room I am in. The only time I blast music is in my car. Anyway, progressively over a few months, Chad made his disdain for my music known. He would go out of his way to criticize all of it. At first, I felt super bad that nothing I liked could soothe his ears, but then it hit me. It wasn't about what I listened to, but the fact that I was visibly enjoying it. He would go out of his way to tell me to stop enjoying whatever I was doing. If he could not hear it, he would grab my attention to ask what it was, and then said he hated it. So I started looking up his playlist that he had connected to his smart devices, TV/Google Home. I found that most of his music wasn't bad. It was like a 80s feel-good bop and movie soundtrack. Nothing to evoke anything but happy feel-good times. I would constantly hear him loudly belt it out, without bothering him, so I started to play his music, figuring he would chill out. Nope. He got upset and stopped playing his music, stopped singing along and generally stopped bothering me over the music. Then I went and I put my music on his playlist before I left. Story 2. In elementary school I got even with a bully. In elementary, I was hanging out with another student, Ollie, when Jessica came over and said she had to show Ollie something. We both walked over to the playground and Jessica told Ollie to stand in a specific spot on a higher ledge, so she could see something. She kept pointing across the field telling us to look. Ollie knew better as Jessica had been bullying her and had a reputation, so she said no. Then, naive me comes along thinking everyone has the best intentions, so I followed Jessica's instructions to see what she keeps pointing at. Well, when I stood on the ledge, I immediately realized I stepped in dog crap. I was pissed and Jessica was cracking up. I took a twig and was cleaning off my sneaker. I proceeded to take the poopy twig, found Jessica, and threw it perfectly at the back of her head. It stuck to her hair. Jessica never tried anything again. Story 3. The time I annoyed my teacher and made her look like a lunatic. This is my first post, so I'm sorry if I make mistakes. English is not my first language. This all happened in the 90s when I was in middle school. I believe I was 11 years old. There was a teacher we'll call Miss Weirdo from another class who I've seen before but never interacted much with her. I just knew who she was and that's it. One day during a family get-together, we realized Miss Weirdo was a distant relative. Her sister is married to one of my grandma's brothers. I was introduced to her, and the family was talking about how she had to take care of me when she sees me in school from now on. She just smiled and agreed. From then on, I would see her everywhere. In the halls, near my classroom, during recess. It was really weird. She would just look at me and scold me if I was doing something she considered bad. If I was playing with my friends, she would tell me not to yell too much, even though I was quiet, or if I was walking to the bathroom, she would make me go back to class saying I skipped class way too often even though I never did. She would stop me and compare how I was wearing my uniform to that of my friends. It was so frustrating and I would tell my classroom teacher, but she didn't believe me and I don't blame her. The situation was bizarre. Fast forward a couple of months, my teacher went on maternity leave and Miss Weirdo ended up being my substitute teacher. She would make me change seats constantly because I was loud, would ask me if I knew the answer to her questions every day and kept telling me my uniform was sloopy. We were kids, we were all sloopy. One day, I had a sleepover with my best friend and I accidentally forgot my school shoes at her house. My mom sent me with another pair and I knew this was going to cause a problem. I called my bestie and told her to bring my shoes with her to the school. When Miss Weirdo saw me with the incorrect shoes, she looked like it was Christmas for her. Now that I look back on it, I think she never escalated her behavior up until this point because her complaints didn't match with my appearance. I was a tiny girl who looked way younger than I actually was, super quiet, and I liked to hug everyone. If she told my parents or my other teachers that I was causing trouble, they would not believe her. So now she had physical proof that I broke a rule by using shoes that weren't part of the uniform. She yelled at me that I was in big trouble. She would make the principal come to the classroom, and they would need to call my parents. As if at that age my mom would know how I dressed every day. I was super pissed. When she left the classroom, my friend, and I acted at the same time. I took off my shoes, she opened her backpack, gave me the correct shoes, and hid the other ones. All in a couple of seconds, and while all of our classmates were watching us. When she came back with the principal, she just pointed at me and kept saying I was the one disregarding the rules and all that. That they needed to call my mom because obviously I was a rebellious child who did whatever she wanted. The principal just looked at her, at me looking all dramatically sad and scared, my perfectly acceptable shoes and back at her. When the principal kept looking at her, as if he was considering retiring her because of her old age, Miss Weirdo turned around and looked at my shoes and oh boy, did she yell at me. She yelled that I stopped pretending being a nice student, that I was trying to make her look bad, and she just went and took my backpack and started looking for the other shoes inside. The student desks were like a double box, where you could store stuff under your seat and under the table, and she also looked inside my desk. All the while, the principal asked a couple of my classmates what was going on, and they just said Miss Weirdo always acted like that towards me. They never said I changed my shoes. It was amazing. The principal very gently took her outside and told us he would send another teacher for the day and left. She stopped being our substitute teacher after that. That day, I learned I have a super innocent-looking face and I could get away with anything. I've used this gift for the past 20 years. Story 4. Boss went out of his way to be rude about a habit of mine. I do it every time I see him. I work at a computer all day most days. My desk setup wasn't the best, so my posture wasn't great. That caused a bit of physical discomfort, specifically some shoulder pain. I've fixed it since. Anyway, because of that I had a habit of absent-mindedly rubbing my shoulder. One day I did it while talking to my boss about some upcoming project. He went out of his way to mimic what I was doing back to me and be a real condescending prick about it, saying, "What's this?" with a really snarky tone. I didn't really react at all because he was so hostile about it out of nowhere. Even though I don't have shoulder pain anymore, I do it every single time I see him. Passing in the hallways, rubbing my shoulder. Him quickly popping in to mention something, rubbing my shoulder. In a meeting he's a part of, rubbing my shoulder. Every single time. It's been a couple weeks at this point. The first couple times he'd bring it up again and I just casually mentioned shoulder pain. He doesn't even bother anymore, but it still visibly pisses him off. I've been looking for new jobs and have some interviews next week. When I drop my notice on his desk, I think I might have a little shoulder pain. Make sure to like and subscribe for more interesting stories.